So today I want to talk about what's called a negative hallucination. And it's actually what's responsible for the way your life turns out, the things you focus on. It's incredibly enlightening and interesting and going to give you a whole new perspective on the way you function. And if you're new here, I'm Ketra Thompson, and I'm the creator of the Confident Connection Method. So what I do is I use the combination of hypnotherapy and relational mind coaching to take my clients through a process where they can reframe those subconscious things that aren't working for them, that are driving their unwanted behavior, so that they can create a life and love that they want. So if you want to learn more, check out the link in the description below where you can set up a completely complimentary consultation call. You and I can chat, I can help you get some clarity, and I can make my best recommendations. So I want to explain what negative hallucinations are. Let's say you're looking for something in your fridge. And I think the best example is, let's say you're looking for the ketchup. You want to put it on the table. You're making a big breakfast. You know everyone's going to want it. And you go to the fridge and you start looking on all the shelves. This shelf, you mentally say to yourself in your brain, you don't see it, no ketchup. Next shelf, no ketchup. No ketchup. No ketchup. Now I'm going to look in the door. Oh, this shelf, no ketchup here. No ketchup. No ketchup, no ketchup, no ketchup. And then maybe you ask your partner, do we have any ketchup? And they're like, yeah. Well, you tell them it's not in the fridge. I don't see it anywhere. And they're like, yeah, it's in the fridge. And they come over and they point right to the ketchup. And it was right in front of your face. And you're like, how did I not see that? Well, what happens is your brain believes whatever you tell it. And so as you're telling it there's no ketchup, no ketchup, no ketchup, no ketchup, it is believing you. And so when it sees the ketchup, it erases the image to create the reality that you've told it is reality. What it believes is fact, right? And as weird as that sounds, that is how our brain works. It believes what we're telling it. And so if you think about the way your GPS works, your GPS, you put in the coordinates where you want to go, and it doesn't ask you, like, where have you been? What did you do before this? It doesn't care. It just wants you to get to where you're going. And if you deviate from that path, then it starts telling you, make a legal U-turn, return to the path, that I told you to go on, whatever the saying is that it says. It tells you to get back on the path. And if you really stay on the detour long enough, it says recalculating, and it's trying to get you to the path you want to go from your new destination. So your brain is sort of like this in that what we tell it directs what it sees in reality. So when we think about our subconscious programming, how it's been programmed since, really primarily from birth to age 7. And then after that, through negative things like trauma and complex trauma, then we can see that we might not be operating in truth. We might be operating in the programs that were put there a long time ago. And so this negative hallucination process is kind of the way that people talk about manifestation. Manifestation is believing something and then attracting it into your life, this law of attraction. And when we do believe something, we look for it. And because we're looking for it, because we're calibrated in that direction, we tend to line up with it. And so if we have old programming that's telling us everything always falls apart, nothing is ever going right, there's always something wrong around the corner, and nothing ever gets better for me, everything just sucks, this is what always happens to me, that narrative will create more of it. Just because the way our brain works. It looks for what it's focused on. It looks for what you tell it. So I'm not really talking about the positive affirmation aspect of this, where we tell ourselves something that isn't true all the time, and inside we kind of feel like, I know that's not true. We actually want to embody the feeling that we want to have so that the truth that we tell ourselves about how we want to calibrate ourselves doesn't feel so resistant and doesn't feel so out of alignment when we focus on feeling good, when we focus on being at peace. And this is why meditative practices are so helpful, because they calm down your nervous system and help you feel more at peace. Now, the hypnotherapy process is incredibly useful because we can actually reframe those old beliefs subconsciously so that you can shift that focus without so much resistance, without that old programming pulling you back, pulling you back, pulling you back. And so if I told you I wanted you to go drive around for the next hour and count all the red cars you see. And then you came back and I said, now tell me how many blue cars there were. You would have no idea. You didn't even know they existed. They were not on your radar because you weren't looking for them. You weren't keeping an eye out for them. And this is why our internal state matters so much to our external reality. If we're looking for the bad in our partner, we're going to see it every time. If we've created a narrative in our mind about how awful they are and how justified we are in the way we treat them, because after all, they do all these things and they don't appreciate us or whatever the narrative is, we're just going to create more of it. We have to learn to change the calibration inside of us so that we can see the big picture and we can choose what we focus on a little more. Same thing at work. When we have, a lot of disdain for the place we work, if we sit in that long enough, it just creates more of that. If we use that information as a message that, okay, I need to start looking elsewhere. I need to make a plan of action and move elsewhere. Now we calibrate our focus and we move in a different direction. And we look for something better and we find it. Or we at least find a lateral move that gets us out of this so that we have a little more calm and peace to keep looking for the better thing. So being stuck has a lot to do with that subconscious programming and what we're telling ourselves every day. And you might not be saying it audibly, but in your mind, if you pay attention for one day to the automatic assumption that comes to your mind when you get into the cold car, when you have to get up when your alarm goes off, you don't feel like it, when you are driving and someone cuts you off, pay attention to that split-second reaction in you that's like, ugh, right? It's going to give you a lot of information as to what's going on underneath. And it doesn't mean you won't ever have these or that they're bad. What it means is you might be calibrated to look for negativity and you might be further entrenching those beliefs by letting that be your focus and not challenging that. When we challenge our internal beliefs, when we say, what if this assumption of mine is not 100% accurate? Then we open up all kinds of possibilities. We're narrow-minded until we challenge that. We can't see any other option. But when we challenge ourselves and say, what if, can I know for sure this is 100% accurate, my assumption? Probably not. Wouldn't it feel better if I could let go of that assumption and focus on something that feels good? Yes, that would feel better. So we recalibrate to something that feels a little better. We're not trying to go from negative all the way to positive. It's too big of a jump. It's like a rubber band. It snaps you back. What we're trying to do is shift into neutral so that we can focus on the present moment, the things that we can currently appreciate, because as we focus on putting our appreciation on these things that are in our experience, where we're at in the present moment, we start calibrating our brain to look for more goodness. I can appreciate this and this and this. And my brain says, let's see what else I can appreciate. And it grows and it grows and it grows. And that's how we attract goodness into our life. That's how we calibrate ourselves into success and love and connection, by challenging those old beliefs and not letting this programming in our brain erase reality. Because the ketchup example is literally erasing reality so that reality matches your conception of it. And all of us are doing that. We think we have a good perception of reality. We think that we see clearly. But what we're seeing is just a product of all of our past programming and the calibration we've been doing inside that's brought more of that into our life. It doesn't mean it's the reality that has to stay. Matter of fact, that reality is sort of old. It's been created based on your old thinking. So if you realize that, what you're thinking right now is creating your future reality. It's calibrating you toward what you'll focus on, how you'll feel, how you'll be, success, connection, all those things. So again, if you'd like to learn more about how you can do this with custom hypnotherapy and relational mind coaching to really calibrate you to where you want to be and get rid of those old beliefs, check out that link in the description below where we can chat and I can help you get to the heart of this, because it's just no fun battling against this old programming. But the one thing you can do today is challenge your beliefs. Ask yourself if this is 100% accurate, if you can be 100% sure that it's 100% accurate. And if not, choose to let go of that belief and start being curious. So if this resonated with you, if you appreciate this content, I would really appreciate it if you would click like and subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video. And until next time, I hope you curate a life by your own design.